Steel Curtain Network.
Touchdown! Touchdown para Calvin Austin! El Monte Washington es arma. ¿Quién más? ¿Quién más? DJ Watt!
What is going on, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, and welcome back to another episode of the Steelers Preview Podcast. I'm Jeff Hartman, joined by Dave Schofield and Bryan Davis. Dave, what's up? How's it going?
Hey, it's good. It's Thursday night, and there's not a Steelers game, so that's a little bit better.
You just had to bring that up, didn't you? Bryan, what's up? How's it going?
Yeah, I'm navigating through life and doing pretty good, and I am really anticipating this weekend. Not the uniforms, but the weekend.
Okay, let's brought up the uniforms. What do you guys think? Yay or nay on the? I'm not calling them throwbacks. They're not throwbacks. They're alternate uniforms because it's not indicative of any. They took like smatterings of other eras. So, Dave, what's your take?
So I guess it's what would the term be? I remember they used it whenever they first announced them. That it's I guess they're
tribute or
tro, but they're not actually. I don't know. Anyway, I like the helmets.
Yeah.
I mean, they've been practicing with the helmets, so I will say I like the helmets. Well, to me, when it comes to the uniform, when I got to see the whole team out there on the field, on the TV, in order to really say if I think it works. You guys know I've not liked the brown pants. If they were just a tribute to that's probably the better way to say it. It was just a tribute to the past teams. They should have gone with the black pants. That would have looked way better. But honestly, I'm kind of like Coach Tomlin. I don't, the uniforms aren't high on my priority list with this one.
Yeah, all right, Bryan, you're the jersey guy. What do you think?
They are high on my priority list. And I think, seriously, I would have done a great job if they would have just contacted me because I'm very good at designing uniforms. And I used to have one of those things online where I could design uniforms for my fantasy football team, but no one ever wore them. I couldn't get those guys. I think it was like David Johnson and the late Doug Martin that I had on my team, and they wouldn't wear them. So, but anyways, I hate the brown pants, the khakis or what have you. I mean, they might as well wear cargo pants if they're going to wear that color. But which would actually be cool to be like John Cena wearing cargo jorts. But I'm looking at the back of the uniform too. I mean, the jersey's not bad. I can get with a jersey, but the different numbers on the back,
different colors,
all black. It does not work for me. And I really would like the white pants from the 2007 throwbacks that they wore. Those were great. Or go black or do something different. I mean, go all gold. I don't care. I mean, the Los Angeles Chargers didn't look that bad in all yellow, but it was a lighter yellow. But I thought they looked good the other day. I think the black helmet would offset it a little bit better. Or really what would look cool is breaking out the white helmet that they have in mini helmets, but they've never, ever worn.
Well, I did a whole article when they were teasing that they were going to release this alternate uniform, or we thought a throwback at the time. And there was I think it's like 1935 or 36. They did these uniforms that they're trying to mock up for like a couple of years. And then they went to like the Ernie Stautner era. They had options. It was like a black uniform, the numbers, but there was just like on the shoulder was like one solid like shoulder stripe. It wasn't like the 2007 that you're talking about, Bryan. Similar, but they had a gold helmet, white pants. They also had a white option. So it was a white jersey with the gold on there. And I was like, those would be cool. At least you have something that is new. I feel like the Steelers, they've already done this jersey before. What was that, 1995? Bryan?
94,
okay.
Week 3 against the Colts and the loss to the Arizona Cardinals on Sunday Night Football. They only wore those jerseys twice.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. It is what it is. And then I was happy that the Packers are wearing white. I wonder if the NFL, because let me ask you guys this. I wrote this in my Steelers news article, and I talked about how it went from the mustard bowl to the mustard and mayonnaise bowl. And I'm curious, though, do you think it had something to do with them both wearing the same shelled helmets? When was the last time we ever saw an NFL game when they actually have different colored shells? We're not talking like the leather helmets, where they had the same shell color and they played each other? Like, would New York Jets, Denver Broncos be the same shell color, or would that be different enough? I guess is my question. I'm not saying it's never happened.
You mean Giants?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Giants.
Yeah, sorry. Like, well, here's my question. What about teams where it's black? What about let's say the Jaguars versus the Ravens? Would they both be black
all the time?
Yeah, so I think it's when it's not black is when it would be more of an issue, in my opinion.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I was literally running through the gambit of the helmets, and yes, black is the most common. Like the Steelers have a giant gold stripe down the middle of it. So that kind of distinguishes the two. The Falcons and Ravens might be really darn close. That might be the closest shell helmet color and logo that you would find. Would you think?
Sometimes Carolina wears a black helmet, and when they're playing the Falcons in division, they're blended. I mean, from far away, if you're not wearing glasses, they might really look blurry. That's a good point.
All right, enough jersey talk and uniform talk. Dave, I'm going to ask you guys this question. It's real obvious before we get to the injury report. What is your gut feeling about this game? Because I feel like this has been just, people say a roller coaster ride. No, it's been a precipitous drop off since Thursday Night Football. The fan base is definitely not as engaged. I think a lot of people feel like the end is near. Dave, what's your gut telling you leading into week 8?
Leading into week 8, I think this might be the most telling game for the Steelers when it comes to defining their season. Because after coming out and having a pretty, can't even take the word pretty. Ignore the word pretty. They had a lousy defensive performance. It wasn't pretty lousy. It was lousy. After having a performance like that defensively, the response is everything. You've said it, Jeff. I've talked about it on some shows. That's really going to be the key with a lot of things. So bottom line is the Steelers they're either going to show up, have similar struggles as they did in the last game, and two is a pattern. This is who they are, or they're going to come out and play in a way, and you're going to say that, hey, that was a one-off in Cincinnati. Let's keep rolling in that regard. And it doesn't even necessarily mean win or loss. It could just even be how they play.
Okay. Bryan, what about you? What's your gut tell you leading into week 8?
Well, this is what drives me nuts about my fellow Steeler fans, because it's all or nothing. And you can't go 17-0. And you're looking at a team, the hottest team in the league right now are the Chiefs, and they have 3 losses. There's other teams that I believe now officially Seattle does have 2 losses now, by the way. I just want everybody to know that. But you look at all of this, the Detroit Lions were embarrassed against the Kansas City Chiefs, and last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, which is a pretty good team, they knocked them around. So this is a parity league, and you can't expect this. But the thing that I really don't understand why people are dropping off with excitement is because the offense, and I've heard Dave say it, I've heard Jeff say it, the offense is not the problem. And the offense is, right now, they're averaging 25.5, a little over 25 points. And we haven't seen that in a long time since, of course, the Ben Roethlisberger era. But we were begging for them to even come close to 22 or 23 in the last couple of years. So when I'm looking at all of that, I think that this team is right on track. It's a division game. And when you lose a division game like that, you can't be surprised, because we saw the Cleveland Browns beat the Baltimore Ravens last year right around this time, towards the end of October. And the far better team at the end of the season was the Baltimore Ravens, and they gave up a lot of points to Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns. So this is not a problem. This is a divisional game, a bump in a road, a game that they almost won, could have won. They weren't embarrassed. Now, a lot of people say the defense was embarrassing. Yeah, the defense was not good, and there's problems there. But if you're thinking that this is the beginning of the end and you're not excited, man, there's a lot of other things to watch on Sunday night.
Yeah. I think that this has been a game, and I don't know if Dave has predictions with him and what we predicted for this game. I know that all of us predicted, I think, a loss on Thursday night originally when the schedule came out. And then I think probably all of us predicted a bounce back in this week. And it's because Mike Tomlin typically does do well with a little bit of an extra prep time. The team is going to need some extra prep time. And say what you want about Thursday Night Football. Yeah, it is what it is. It's been a bugaboo for Mike Tomlin for a long time. But at the same time, I think about this game and I think, the Packers are a really good team. They're going to have the Steelers' full attention. I think the Steelers are going to come into this game and it's going to be a different team, especially defensively, than we've seen at least most recently in Week 7. Dave, did you find those yet?
I did.
What do we have?
We meatloafed it. 2 out of 3 had wins. Oh. Who had this as a loss? That would be with Bryan Anthony Davis.
Really?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
He had them dropping 2 in a row, 7 and 8.
I also didn't know who the quarterback was going to be either.
Yeah, and also for example, we all said, "Oh, win against Indy in Week 9." I know we're getting a week ahead, but unless they drop one to the Tennessee Titans this week, they're the best team and they have the best record in the NFL. Yeah, so you never know how things are going to turn out because that's just you didn't expect that one at all.
All right, so that was good. Let's get this super chat here. Brian Haynes gives us $5.
It's on the screen again. Yay!
I know. Yeah. Who should I pick for survival this week? Falcons. Also, Brian, can you order the throwback jersey from your site? Sunday, we're going to smoke the Packers. Survival for this week. If you're Brian, if you're in our survivor pool at Steel Curtain Network, I have to know who you've already picked so that you can't pick them again. So, for instance, if you're still alive, obviously, you'd be asking. If you still have the Colts, I would pick the Colts this week against the Titans.
Who do the Falcons even have?
I don't know. Let me check. I'll pull that up.
I mean, is he in our league, Brian? Because if he is, I don't know what his name is to tell him what he's
okay. The Falcons have the Dolphins. They host the Dolphins this week.
Yeah. You're safe.
But I will tell you what, don't pick the away team on Thursday Night Football unless it's the NFC West. Just stay away from that one.
Absolutely don't. To answer your question, call me, Brian. I got you.
Yeah, there's a package being dropped off a ship somewhere that's going to float its way to the Baltimore Harbor. We'll put it, find its way to Western Maryland.
I got you taken care of. Can I say something about the Survivor poll? I got to figure out how to change my name because for some reason, and I had this name years ago, and I was B Diddy's Fantastic Picks. I don't want to be Diddy anymore in my Survivor League. So
you're not still in, are you?
No, I forgot to play week 2.
Yeah.
Well, your FanDuel name is just like Jesse James, so
yeah, I can't change that either.
Brian, I actually tried to help Brian change that one.
It's impossible to change that.
I think it is impossible, actually. Anyways, all right, let's talk about the injuries. The injury report is out. Dave, you have that for the Steelers?
I'm still trying to find B Diddy on here. Sorry.
Wait,
yeah, I do.
Hold on. Look, Brian Haynes, uncircumcised penix is my team.
Whoa. I'm looking for it right now. Oh my gosh, there he is.
And that was before the big ESPN debacle.
Yeah, okay. So just to know who he's picked, he's already picked Washington, Arizona, Tampa, Buffalo, Minnesota, Green Bay, and New England. So he would have both the option of Indy or Atlanta. Either one of those, I think, are probably going to be.
Atlanta's safer though because you can use Indy down the line.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, uncircumcised penix.
Oh, Kirk Cousins.
Yes, you just got that?
I was trying to figure that one out.
I was just looking for Captain Underpants or Brian. Hey, I mean, that's what I was looking for. I did not realize that was him.
All right, Dave, back to the injury report.
Injury report. All right, so Steelers, Thursday, there's only a few things to really pay attention to. Good news is both guys coming back from IR designated return, Will Howard, Malik Harrison, they've been full both days. The only question is, are they going to activate either one of them? The Steelers only have 52 players on their roster because they have not put someone on there after they put Miles Killebrew on IR. So one of those guys could slide right in there. We'll see what they do. Cam Hayward didn't practice either the last 2 days, but that's just vet rest. DK Metcalf showed up today, not practicing, vet rest. Zach Frazier showed up limited yesterday with a calf. And I was like, oh, did he hurt it during practice? Found out today. No, he actually hurt it during the game, taking it easy. The problem is he went from limited Wednesday to not practicing Thursday. So that's concerning, although he says he believes he's going to be able to play Sunday. That's one to keep an eye out on for Friday. Scotty Miller popped up on Thursday being limited with a finger, which since he wasn't on there before, that very likely is something that happened during practice.
Right.
I don't know about – I think Jeff kind of hit this one because this is what my pick was going to be depending on the injury report. If I don't know who's dropping everything. I would keep Keyshawn Williams,
Yes,
right?
Williams.
Active, and I would actually have Scotty Miller inactive. Maybe this is a way to kind of have an excuse to not have him active when it comes to the game. Let's see. The only other one that I'm missing that is very important, and this one got me because when they first put the injury report out, it just said that, TJ Watt was off yesterday, not injury related, vet rest. Then they said he was limited today, and it was still just not injury related. But then they came in later after they released the report on Twitter and added a hip injury for TJ Watt. So my first article that went out was before they put their injury report out on Twitter. So I didn't have that. So I had to add that as an update. So that's the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, TJ Watt, that's not surprising. If I recall on Thursday Night Football, there was a time where he was on the sideline and he was you could tell he was uncomfortable. The doctors were kind of like talking to him, and of course he's telling them to get the hell away from him and stuff like that. But other than that, you could tell he's uncomfortable, and that makes sense with the hip area. Other than that, I mean, Zach Frazier is a concern. I think if he said he'll play. Ryan McCullum, we got to remember this, folks. He did well last season when he had to fill in for Frazier as a rookie. So I do think they're in capable hands for a game or two if they need. I think Frazier plays it. It's just I think he'll be a full participant on Friday. Brian, what do you think?
Yeah, and I also think that this is one of those games that everybody is looking forward to because of what the showcase is. This is a nice showcase. Thursday night's not a showcase, but Sunday night at home really is. That is exactly where you want to be. I'm not worried about Scotty Miller. I'm not that worried about really TJ as well. Frazier, love to have him in there, but what Jeff said about McCollum, and that had to be like 3 or 4 weeks where McCollum had to perform, and he performed well. And the only thing that concerns me about that is McCormick and McCollum. I hope they're on the same page because that hurt them last year when Frazier got hurt in a game. There was like an errant snap that went off somebody. I don't know if that was the Colts game, but it was something that one of them, they didn't have the communication to each other. I hope that's not a problem. I think that McCormick is more veteranized now than he was last year. And then you have two young guys going at it, trying to work together. Then the other guy I want to mention is we talk about Scotty Miller, but I don't think Keyshawn Williams should leave.
Yeah.
In fact, right now, I think he is your kick return man. Yeah. And he's your returner extraordinaire right now. The guy's got to break one if they don't get called for a hold.
No, I agree. Dave, what did you think about the injury report?
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I wouldn't be shocked if Scotty Miller was inactive this week, even as a healthy scratch, because I think Williams should stay out there. I don't think they can have 6 wide receivers active The problem is, can they have 5 where 2 of them are Williams and Skoranek that really are mainly special teams guys, but they're not really using their wide receivers otherwise? Is Metcalf, Austin, and Wilson all you need? And if that's the case, then the other 2 guys being special teams guys would be fine. I was even thinking before the injury report came out, I'm like, could Scotty Miller actually end up getting cut and brought to the practice squad if they need to do that? I don't know. But injury-wise, like I said, the big thing is pay attention to Frazier and Watt. I don't really have much concern for Watt. I am somewhat concerned about Frazier.
All right, let's go to Packers injury report.
Okay, it's huge, but honestly, anybody who was fooled on Thursday, I'm not even going to mention.
Agreed.
Because there's so many of them. Okay. But I'll try to say what they were for both days. So Josh Jacobs was limited both Wednesday and Thursday with a calf. Safety Xavier McKinney was limited on Thursday, and I'm trying to find out, and Wednesday with an ankle/knee. Kicker Brandon McManus didn't practice Wednesday, was limited on Thursday. Offensive lineman Zach Tom was limited with a back on Thursday and Wednesday. He was limited both. Here's one that I think is interesting. Lucas Van Ness, foot, didn't practice either day so far. That one's interesting to watch. Let's see that Christian Watson coming back in his 21-day window. He's been limited both days. Then you also have wide receiver. I'm going to mess this up. Dontavian Wicks there, because the way his first name spelled is with a calf. He did not practice either day. And safety Evan Williams with a back was limited both days. And Devontae Wyatt was limited both days with a knee.
Interesting. Bryan, anything, any players kind of spark your memory there? Or?
The wide receivers stand out to me because, first of all, Dontavian Wicks is a guy that a lot of people were hoping that the Steelers could get in a trade. I've seen him pop up recently. He doesn't play a whole heck of a lot, but he has some talent there. So a lot of fans have been talking about him. I haven't, but I have noticed his name pop up. Christian Watson is the guy that if he is back, you always got to worry about, because when he's healthy, he is darn good when you throw him the football. And I have seen him time and time again, but he is very frustrating to Packers fans because he's always hurt. So if he comes back, he could put up some significant numbers, and he's the kind of guy. I know he did well against Pittsburgh 2 years ago when they were playing in that divisional second place game or whatever it was back then, for the 17th game, I call it. I don't know if it has an official name, but he's very good when he's healthy. And if he's limited, maybe they're working him back one more week. I don't know. But with the way that defense looked last week and a guy like Isovich killing you, Watson can do the same thing. Romeo Doubs scares the heck out of me too. We'll talk about more of that later, but adding Watson back, if he comes back, that's a huge concern.
I mean, I'm looking at the list. I had to pull it up because I'm a visual learner. I mean, you have Josh Jacobs limited with a calf. I mean, yes, it's just a calf, and we just downplayed that with Zach Frazier, but that's a running back. Like, that's not that's a different story altogether. Yes, Bryan.
I got to make a comment on that because I watched that game a lot last week, the Green Bay game, and at one point, I think after a second touchdown, the announcers were saying, and he wasn't even supposed to play today. Right. He was a last-minute entry. So Jacobs is that guy that he can be beat up and still ruin your day.
Yeah. And then Xavier McKinney, ankle and knee, limited. I mean, these guys might play, but I think it's safe to say they're not fully healthy. And so when it comes to that, you just never know what's going to happen in a game. Ultimately, Dave, is there any other thoughts you have on the injury report?
Oh, I think it's interesting. Got a couple of defensive linemen there.
Yeah.
Just to pay attention to.
All right. So we now go to our kind of pseudo keys to victory, where we go around the horn and do one offense, and then we go around again to do one defense. Dave, what's one thing on offense that you want the Steelers to accomplish in Week 8?
Well, it's what I have been saying from the very beginning. I still think their offense could only go as far as their offensive line carries them. They've been doing a nice job. You had not the best defensive front that you were going up against last week, a very good one the week before that you did a nice job. You've got to keep that up. This is me living in my fears. The last thing I want is for the offensive line to start feeling too good about itself. You've got to keep up that level of play. You haven't won any awards yet, although I did see something that they were like the highest ranked pass blocking offensive line for last week, something like that. Anyway, and it wasn't PFF, it was somewhere else. So it's all subjective anyway. But you don't get overhyped, don't get too confident. You've got to go out there and continue to work and grind and get the job done.
The key will be, will an offensive lineman that Dave mentioned tackle the quarterback for a second straight game and almost injure a 41-year-old man? I don't know.
See, I didn't even know anything about that till you guys told me on the post-game show. That's
oh
great.
My gosh. I mean, Aaron was pissed. He was furious.
People were going off after Aaron Rodgers until everybody shut them down, saying that's very unprofessional to be yelling at your guy. No. When a 330-pound dude
expecting to get tackled going to the sideline
jumps on your back, you're gonna yell, "Get the blank off me!" Like
get off of me. Yes,
that was the hardest, man, by far the hardest hit he took in that game.
If you want to hear Aaron Rodgers' response to that and the whole situation leading up to this game, go to SteelCurtainNetwork.com. Go to my Steelers news article that day. It came out Thursday afternoon, and I have that snippet of audio or video there. Check it out. But Bryan, what's your key for offense?
Yeah, keep climbing those steps, but keep using the most exciting Steelers offensive lineman right now. That I think he's the most popular Steeler offensive lineman, because he's a gadget right now, and it's Spencer Anderson, number 74. What they're doing right now is brilliant. And now, a couple weeks ago, you had to deal with Myles Garrett. You're dealing with a guy like Myles Garrett again, Micah Parsons. And this guy's no joke. And he's not having a terrible year. He came over from from Dallas, and he's laying the wood to people. So you got to just go ahead and continue to do what you're doing there. I don't want them to get cute whatsoever. I like the game plan that they had last week. Now mix it up a little bit, but don't go away from what's working with you. Keep on running the ball and run the ball in the third and fourth quarter too, as well. And they weren't running, but rely on that running game more. I love the screen passes out of the backfield. I love the fact that I can honestly say that I really think Pat Freiermuth is now in the equation. We'll probably talk about that in over under. I know he's going to pop up. He always does. But when you look at something like that, you can't say that Rodgers doesn't trust him anymore, because he obviously did there. The only thing that Freiermuth did wrong in that game was score too quickly, and you have to score too quickly there.
You're wrong. It's just,
yeah. I mean, it was just one of those things that you don't stop and say, oh, I got to go down. There's 2.5 minutes left. No, you don't, because you never know when you're going to get back in there. So with all of that being said, I haven't used that in a while, but with that being said, I really like what they're doing on offense. So just expand upon it. And if you get Calvin Austin back, that's a nice little wrinkle that's not on a lot of film right now.
Okay. John S. is incredible. You'll get it in a second. All right. Let's go to that really distracted me, because that's really freaky. Because that is the freaking line for Pat Freiermuth. But anyways, I remember in week 6, the Steelers were preparing for the Browns. And I remember the Browns' run defense was the best in the NFL, and they averaged somewhere around that 75, 76 yards per game average. And everyone said the Steelers aren't going to be able to run it on them. They're not going to be able to run on anyone. The Steelers can't run the ball. They ran for 100 yards that game. And wow, Green Bay's run defense, second best in the league, 76.5 yards per game average. The Steelers have to run the ball. Like, you have to be able to move the people in front of you, impose your will. And I know Zach Frazier is going to be key to that happening. I think they can. I think we're starting to see this offensive line that Dave spoke about, Bryan alluded to as well. They're starting to gel. They're starting to figure things out. And you throw in Spencer Anderson, that jumbo package. That's my key. If they can run the ball, it's going to be a magic elixir for a lot of problems, especially on the defensive side. So let's go to the defensive side, Dave. What's one thing you want to see on defense?
All right, on defense. There's a lot that we want to see on defense. I'm just going to say quite simple. This is a game that you're going to focus more on stopping the run because you have a challenging running attack coming at you. I think the Steelers took stopping the run for granted last week. So this week it's all about stopping the run. Okay. It's you can't bust out double-digit. You can't let multiple double-digit runs come out, and you can't let them constantly be just saying 7 yards, 7 yards, 7 yards. You've got to be pretty consistent with doing that.
All right, Bryan, what do you think?
All right, I'm going to steal from Kevin Smith a little bit here because we discussed this at length on Here We Go, the Steelers show, and it was something that shocked me when he said it because I didn't quite look at it this way. And now that I hear it, a lot of the problems that a lot of the excuses in the narrative coming out after that game was the fact that the Steelers did not make adjustments. And Kevin said, no, man,
wrong.
they had about 8 different coverages going. And it was a mess because they were trying to do way too much and nothing was working. They were doing the wrong things at the wrong times. And I said, and he said, you don't know if it's going to work. I said, you don't even know if you're going to mix them up. And he said, yeah, it almost looked like they were mixing up coverages at one point. So with something like that, you got to get back to it because Jordan Love could kill you. Of course, he can kill you over the middle. He has guys that could go deep. I love Romeo Doubs. I think he is absolutely phenomenal. And he's a guy, he's the kind of guy that kills the Steelers. It's now last week, the number 1 guy, Jamar Chase killed them, but usually it's the number 2 receiver that makes them pay even more. So I worry about some of these guys here. Don't lose sight and almost simplify. But if you're going to make adjustments, don't try to throw too much at these guys and let them be a little more simple.
All right. I'm going to say keep it simple. The Green Bay Packers have only turned it over 2 times this year, which is pretty remarkable. The Steelers had...
I had them at 3.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. I was looking at the wrong one.
Yeah.
All right,
okay.
so 3. They've turned it over 3 times this season, which is pretty remarkable statistic. The Steelers take it away at a ridiculous clip, but have been... I mean, they probably should have had several the last 2 games. It's time they get back on that train. Take the ball away. I don't care if it's a forced fumble. I don't care if it's a tip off of someone's hands and it goes into a safety's lap. I don't care. Get a takeaway or 2 in this game. It'll make a world of difference. Trust me. So, all right, we've done a lot in this first half. We want to take a break. When we come back, we have a super chat to get to. We're going to get to over under, and we're going to be talking predictions, trivia, and all that fun stuff. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Steeler fans, we are back. We have a couple super chats to get to right off the bat. Let's get to Claude Bishop. He gives us $2. Says, I don't know if he's meant to say ruining or running, but we'll say ruining. That's what he wrote. Who's ruining the defense more, Tomlin or Austin? I don't know.
I think they're equal. They're running and ruining.
I thought it was running. Now it's a whole different question. I had to try.
It is. I know.
I think it's the same question.
But yeah, that's true. But who was it? I think it was Brian Haynes said it there. Austin's in charge, but Mike Tomlin's ultimately over top of everything. So many people say it's Mike Tomlin's defense. It's Mike Tomlin's defense. Then how come it's so different from when Keith Butler was here? It is, but it isn't, because you still have the head coach that you answer to, but it's still different because of other things. I think it really is a collective when it comes to both of them. So how are we even really supposed to know who's doing it? But I think they both take blame for ruining stuff.
Yeah, and Claude Bishop did clarify and say he meant ruining, not running.
He meant ruining. Yeah.
So, Bryan, what do you think?
Yeah, I cannot argue with Claude or Dave on all of that because it's really hard to tell. But if I have to go with an ultimate scapegoat, I go with the coordinator first. And the reason I do that is because you got to understand, Mike Tomlin is, it's like report to me. He's delegating. And that's his job, to delegate and say, okay, what are you doing here? All right, that's fine. Work on this. Keep on working on that stuff. What do I need to know? And so I don't blame Mike Tomlin for that as much. The only thing that I really blame Mike Tomlin is for keeping a guy like Terrell Austin there.
Yeah.
And letting it get stale and letting it get confusing. And there's something else I'm going to talk about the defense in my final thoughts. I'm going to save it. But there's some things personnel wise that are a problem here. And in the course of a game, it's not Tomlin that's saying this, and this has to happen. He trusts his guys to go. And if it runs amok, that's kind of when he's taking over. I remember hearing Vince Williams say this a few years ago. They were playing Jacksonville, and they were having a real tough time against them. And with about 2 minutes left, Tomlin took over the defense. I can't remember who the coordinator was at the time. I'm assuming Butler, but he took over, and the guys were just in awe on what he was drawing up at that time. So Tomlin, a lot of time in game, is break glass in case of emergency. And the other guys are the ones that are making those mistakes. But then again, he's the one who has to stop those mistakes.
I mean, for me, that's like, to me, it's like crying over spilled milk. Where they're not going to make a change in season. I care more about not who's ruining the defense, who's going to fix it. And I don't even care who fixes it. Just fix it. This defense is way too talented. They have way too much experience to be this statistically god awful. And so I don't care who ruined it. I care who fixes it. And I don't care who fixes it, to be honest, just as long as it gets fixed. All right, here, let's go to Steeler fan 69 gives us $5. Dave, do you want to read this one since it's friendly?
Sure, it's Dave friendly. A concerned friend asked me how much I spend on a bottle of scotch. I told him about 30 minutes. I love scotch. Scotch.
Hey, Steeler fan 69 had some good ones in my mailbag.
Yeah, he did. Those were bad this week.
All right, let's do some over-under. Y'all ready?
Yep.
Dave, update the statistics there.
Okay. The only thing more embarrassing last week than the Steelers defense was Jeff's over-under.
Whoa.
You got 0 out of the 6.
Nice.
But what wasn't embarrassing was Jeff's lines. Because what'd you have? What'd you have? 250.5 and it was 249?
250.5.
Yeah. So, but yeah, Jeff was backwards in everything. I only got 2 and Bryan only got 3. But and we all got 1 for the game, 1 out of the 2, because Jeff picked the Steelers to not cover, which they did not. So you still get a point for that, even though you picked the Steelers to win. And Bryan and I both took the over. So that means overall, when it comes to the game picks, Jeff is leading 7. Bryan and I only one behind with 6. When it comes to the Jeff's ones each week, Jeff has 15, Bryan has 21, and I have 24.
All righty. All right, we're going to go more rapid fire here. So let's go Aaron Rodgers touchdown passes. I've got the line at 2.5. Bryan, over under.
Going 3, going over.
All right, Dave.
Oh my goodness, I haven't even written down what they are yet. So it's Rodgers TDs, right?
Touchdown passes, yes.
And it's
2.5.
2.5. I'm going to go over as well.
I'm going to go under. I mean, it's 2. Let's go Pat from. This is funny because John guessed it. Pat Fryermuth receiving yards 30.5. I swear I haven't touched the little piece of paper all day, and he got it right on the nose. Bryan, over under.
I gotta go over on this one because I think there's a new wrinkle is found. I think they found common ground. 8 to 88.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, I don't think he's going for 100, but I'd be shocked if he was back to 0 targets again. So therefore, because I don't know, I could see him with 2 targets for 24. I could really, or two catches for 24. I really could, but I don't know. Let's go over.
I'm going to go over as well. Let's go Pittsburgh Steelers sacks. The Packers have surrendered 11 sacks this season. I've got the line at 2.5. Bryan, over under.
I did not like the way things were looking with not being able to get to Flacco the other day. However, Jordan Love's going to hold the ball a little bit longer than Flacco to set things up because he doesn't feel that he has to, like a Flacco or a Rodgers. So I'm going to say, let's go ahead. This is at home. They'll get 3.
Okay, Dave.
Yeah, Brian, the last thing Brian said before they'll get 3 of saying this is at home. That's what I'm kind of hoping for. That's why I'm going to go over as well.
I was going to go over. Jordan Love does like to hold onto the ball. He likes to take shots downfield. Not that he can't throw quickly, but I'll take the over as well. All right, Steelers turnovers. This is them turning the ball over. I've got the line at 1.5. Brian, what do you think?
Last week was really weird. And I don't think that's indicative of the Steelers. I can see them turning over 1. I don't see them turning over 2. So let's go ahead and take the under.
Dave?
Yeah, isn't there some crazy stat about Aaron Rodgers throwing 2 interceptions about not throwing any the week after?
I didn't see that.
I mean, I thought I remember that from earlier this season when he had 2 in a game. So therefore, I don't know about having interceptions, but maybe they could lose a fumble, but I don't know about 2. So that's why I'm going to take under. Brian, you said under?
Yes, sir.
Okay, just making sure.
If it was a half, I would take the under. I don't think they turn it over. All right, so I'm going under. Let's go with Steelers takeaways. I mentioned how they've had a drought there the last 2 weeks. The line is a half, and the Packers don't turn it over often. So do they or don't they, Brian? That's the question, essentially.
I am all set to go under, but this is home magic, and there's got to be at least 1 here. So let's go over.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm going to go over as well with 1. If you were 1.5, I probably would have gone under. But no, that 1.5 would have been a bad line based on this Packers team. Because the other thing with the Steelers turnovers to remember from the last one is the Packers have only turned it over 3 times, but they've only taken it away 3 times as well. Also,
yes. Yeah.
So they're even with that right now. I don't think it's going to be a big turnover game for either team, but I could see it being 1 for both sides.
I'm going under. I don't think they turn it over. I think the Steelers get skunked for 3 straight weeks. So let's go to the last one. Jalen Warren rushing yards. Over under 60.5. Brian, what do you think?
I like the way they're going. And what was his tally last week? It was
118, something like that.
Yeah, it was a nice day, and I know this is a much better front, but I see them trying to grind it a little bit more here too. So I don't want to be overly optimistic, but I like this. So let's go over.
Dave?
When you start to say the category, I try to think of the number before I hear the line. My number was 65, so I got to go over.
I'm going to go over. I think they're starting to figure out that Jalen Warren is a workhorse. I saw a stat where if he gets 16 touches in a game, like his overall statistics, it's incredible. Feed him the rock is what I say. So there you go. There's our over-under for this week. Let's talk about predictions. This line has adjusted itself multiple times this week. Depending on the sports book, it has gone from 3.5 down to 2.5, all leaning in the Steelers' favor as being home underdogs. Currently, I have the line at Steelers getting 3 points at home with a total of 45.5 points. With that being said, as Brian Davis would say, Brian, what is your prediction?
All right. Final score is going to be 41-38.
Cheese and rice.
And I'm feeling a little froggy after last week. Steelers are going to put some stuff up. I think they're going to fall. I'm going to take the Packers here.
Oh my gosh.
So that means he's got the push.
Yeah. And the over. Way
and
over.
Obviously the over. I don't know. Unless once he said 41, the only way that was going under was 41-3.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. So he's got the Packers with the push. I thought my score was high when I'm taking the over, which is funny because your Packers guy that you had on Let's Ride, he's pounding the under, right?
He thought it would be an under game because he said there's a chance of rain. I haven't looked at the weather.
I haven't looked at the weather either because I don't look at that until I go to do last minute thoughts. I still think that the Steelers offense can get it done. I think the defense can do a little bit better. I have it as more of what I thought was a high scoring game. I'm once again, I'm the homer in me is like, I'm going to pick to break a trend, even though I don't think they're good. The Packers haven't won in Pittsburgh since 1970. They are into Pittsburgh as Pittsburgh is to Philly. And I hope I didn't mess up your last minute or your final thoughts or anything, Brian, by bringing that up.
No, I didn't know that.
So I'm like, well, they could that could get that to totally change. But to me, if the Steelers would have won last week, I probably would have picked them to lose this game. So for this reason, I'm like, let's bounce it back. I'm going to have a whole lot more fun picking the Steelers to win. So I am 30-26.
All right. I think the Steelers come out and they look like a different team, but that doesn't mean that it's not close. I think the Steelers clean up a lot of things. The Packers are a good football team. Like, I don't know if there's some fans think that just because they're at home and because they're having a little mini bye, it's going to be a tough game. I have the Steelers winning this one 26-23. Final score 26-23. So they get the 3 points. You want them on the money line, take it. I think it's like 145 plus 145 on the money line. Consider that. If you got this at 3.5, shoot, take that hook all day and all night. But so I got the over slightly. There you go. All right, Brian, it's time for your bad memories. Are you ready?
And it's time for your prediction, Jeff.
2009, the game that Aaron Rodgers talked about at his press conference of their press availability just yesterday. Am I right?
Yeah, there's so many I can go with here.
Was it Mike Wallace's as time expires game? Yes,
Jim
I can remember the
Wexel,
year. Yeah.
Jim Wexel asked, do you remember that game? And he's like, not really. And then he rattled off the exact yardage to Greg Jennings and this play. He knew it was a back shoulder throw to Mike Wallace. Like, the dude's a football. He's a nut. All right, you ready, Brian?
Yeah.
Go.
Of course, I'm going with this game. It was a final score of 37-36. It was back and forth. At one point, there was as much as a 14-point lead. The Steelers and Ben Roethlisberger battled back. Of course, that pass in the end zone. But what I want to talk about here is I remember that my daughter was only about 5 years old, getting ready for her first Christmas. Excuse me, 5 months old, and very tiny. And the game was running late. I know my wife was up a lot with her, so she went to go lay down and said, you need to put the baby to bed. I'm like, but this game is great. I cannot get away from this game. And then so when Mike Wallace caught that ball in the end zone, I had her asleep, but I jumped up and I bobbled her. But I pulled her back in, so it was a great catch. Good thing I wasn't near the sidelines. They might have called it away. But I caught her, and then she started crying because I was screaming. She's crying. My wife comes out and yells at me, why are you waking up the baby? Why are you waking up me? And I'm like, Steelers just won. And she just looked at me and went back to bed and said, you're getting her back to sleep. So I remember that. I'll remember that all my life. That was a gunslinger duel. You don't get better than that game. It was so fun. And the Steelers really weren't playing for much because they had that big 5-game losing streak in November and December. But that's the one that got them back to good. And I got to tell you, that was really a whole lot of fun.
John S. said, Dad, what team were the Steelers playing when you got stuck on the roof hanging up Christmas lights at halftime? I want that story again.
The year 2000 in Cincinnati, and we could go ahead and do that another time.
We didn't do that one last week.
Save that for the next Bengals game.
Yeah. Even though it was in Cincinnati, I'll break my rule. I'll do that next time.
Okay. All right. Dave, trivia time. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm back to players that played for both teams.
Because
it's fun. And what current Steelers quarterback played? Obviously Aaron Rodgers is quarterback. There were 3 quarterbacks from the. Actually, my goodness, there was a quarterback that played for the Packers before the Steelers were even a team. He was actually a quarterback and a wide receiver. His name was Johnny Blood. He played for both. They had
Johnny Blood McNally, Hall of Famer.
And I'm like, since it's close to Halloween, it's a good one to bring up there. They had one in the 40s, one in the 50s. Aaron Rodgers now. There were 2 other quarterbacks that played on both teams. One of them played for the Steelers and then didn't play for the Packers until 8 years later. And I think I've already asked him as a question, so I don't know that I really should do it. Brian, you know who that is?
Is that Steve Bono?
That's Steve Bono. That's correct. He played 87, 88 with the Steelers and played with the Packers in 97. So that was interesting. But what quarterback was with the Packers before the other one that was with the Packers before he was with the Steelers, much like Aaron Rodgers, that came in and started. He played in 84 games for the Steelers, but he only started 25.
Mike Tomczak.
That would be Mike Tomczak. Okay. I've got two other things really quick because I think you'll get this one pretty good. What two hot, I would call them somewhat, I don't know if they're completely legendary Steelers. They were high quality players for the Steelers. Both played for the Packers only in 1993. They combined to play one regular season game between the two of them, but they both were credited with appearing in 2 playoff games in that season.
I know the one because it was we talked about him recently because he also played for the Vikings, and it's Mike Merriweather.
And I was going to say, he's been in your car.
No, I met him, but
no, you met him. No, I'm sorry, that was someone else.
He's the one who told me you should have never left the Steelers.
Yeah, he's the one who told you. Yeah, that one. Do you know the other one?
Oh, of course, it's Tunch.
It's Tunch. Yeah, both Tunch and Merriweather ended up with the Packers there in 93. The last question I have is actually one of a pretty decent player for the Packers. Actually started off as an undrafted free agent with the Steelers for 1 season before he went on to play 9 years in Green Bay, where he had 3 Pro Bowls and won a Super Bowl.
Go ahead, Brian. You know it.
I do know it. John Kuhn.
Shippensburg University, John Kuhn.
Nice.
At fullback.
Awesome.
I remember that because he played on the Steelers. He played against the Steelers in that Super Bowl.
Yeah. But it's a lot of people. Do you really remember him much with the Steelers?
Yeah, he had a touchdown against Carolina in 2006, right before Christmas. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he wore number 42, but I don't know for sure.
Yes, he wore number 42. I don't have him with a touchdown with the Steelers.
Preseason, probably.
No, he said it was in.
I thought it was. Maybe I'm incorrect, but
yeah,
he had
all
some
time with the Steelers. He had two attempts for 18 yards, and he had 1 reception for 15 yards.
Maybe maybe he got close, but
gotcha.
It was that game against Carolina, and I'm thinking. I don't know the exact date, but I would probably say it's the 17th of December of 2006.
What I also find interesting about his time with the Steelers, because I forget, not only was he Pro Bowl, he was all pro once as well in Green Bay, but he actually when he was with the Steelers, he had more tackles than touches. He had 3 touches with the Steelers, but he had 4 special teams tackles.
He's a tough player.
All right. That's good trivia. I couldn't think of any players outside of the obvious ones. So
I've got one more.
Okay.
To throw in there. Hardy Nickerson played for both.
Yes, he did. I just did the other one because they were both the same year.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do some final thoughts, Brian. Go ahead.
All right. I want to talk about personnel. And I always talk about getting cute and making too many adjustments, like Kevin said. Now, one adjustment that was made to try to stop the run, but was not rectified, and they did not go back to it in that game when they were getting killed in the pass, was Nick Herbig was nowhere to be seen. And I know Mike Tomlin had his explanation this week. I think it's a whole bunch of hooey, his explanation. Because if you put a lie detector on him, or if you put a translation, it's like, no, we screwed up. He should have been back in that game. And I think that changes a lot in that game if Nick Herbig is harassing Joe Flacco, because he's coming in. He could really mess up things for Flacco because of the game and the style of rush that he has and his speed. I think that was a major part of this game. So this week, I want them not to keep good weapons on the bench because you're trying to do something a little different. You're trying to stop one thing, but you cut off your nose to spite your face.
All right, Dave, final thoughts.
Yeah, I'm going to first of all comment on Bryan's. I don't think that was Huey myself. I think that was the explanation. I don't think it was the right call, but I do think it was their reason. I think it was the reason that they did it, but I don't think it was the right decision.
Then it's bad coaching then.
Yeah. So what I'm saying is to not have him out there. It's funny. If it would have worked, we wouldn't have thought a thing about it. But it didn't work. So that's part of the reason with it there. And as Outside Steeler fan says, in the live chat says, just win, baby. Yeah, that's exactly it. You got to turn around, just win. How the Steelers respond to last Thursday is going to tell us so much about this team. It's been a crazy week. I've done more interaction with Steelers Nation after this loss than I care to do. I've already mentioned before about, I kind of had that. My tweet didn't blow up as big as Jeff's did when he just asked to say something positive about the Steelers. But my stuff about AFC North breakdowns home and away was blown up so much so. Do you guys listen to the Not Just Football podcast by Cam Hayward?
I mean, I heard the clip you shared. He
obviously talks about more than just football because they actually said my name on there. They shared the stat. I know Matt Williamson shared the stuff that I shared. But I loved Cam's response to it. He's like, wow, that's crazy, but that's not an excuse. We need to play better. And that's exactly the answer to that. Remember, I put those stats up there before the game just to kind of say what it was. But yeah, that doesn't mean anything. You could talk. I love to look at trends. I look at it and say, hey, this is what they do. This is what they don't do. I'm a numbers guy. I break it all down. But really, when it comes down to it, it doesn't matter. You have to go out there and play better than the team that you are facing. You have to score more points than what you surrender. You have, all the things that lead into that, whether it be turnovers, takeaways, splash plays, penalties, everything. That's what it all comes down to. When the team step on the field, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that the Packers haven't won there since 1970. That all goes out the door. The Steelers need to step on that field. Getting back on the field, the new ground at Acrisure Stadium could hopefully maybe remedy some of these things that are going on. Get back on the field, get the job done, go get this dub.
All right, good stuff. Make sure you check out all of our podcasts at Steel Curtain Network, our individual stuff. Brian's holding up a card. What is that, Bryan?
Johnny Blood McNally. All the way. Coach the Steelers, too.
Very good. All right, make sure you check out all of our podcasts on Steel Curtain Network, and that includes our audio-only podcasts like My Let's Ride podcast tomorrow morning, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Dave's Pittsburgh Standard Time. Brian's Here We Go Steelers show with Coach Kevin Smith, as well as his Bad Language podcast. Wherever you get your podcasts, there's Steel Curtain Network. Also, steelcurtainnetwork.com. Free website, growing website. You want to be a part of it. We've got a lot of stuff going up every single day. Check multiple times because we're updating it throughout the day. We do appreciate everyone for checking that out. But that does it. Dave, why don't you send us out?
Hey.
We'll see you next week on another Steelers preview. Take it easy.
Steel Curtain Network. Get it.
Everybody else gets a little tight.